My precious child, there will come a time in every soul's journey when the weight becomes too heavy to carry. The tears fall without permission. The breath catches in the chest. And you begin to wonder if you'll make it through the next hour, let alone the next day. You've done all you can. You've prayed all the prayers you know. You've held on to hope until your knuckles turned white. But now you are tired, bone tired. You've reached your limit when you come to the edge of yourself. When you have given all you had to give, and the night stretches on without end, it is not weakness to admit you cannot go on alone. It is the true strength to lift your tired eyes to the heavens and say, Lord, I've done all I can do. The world will tell you to keep pushing, to grit your teeth, to be unbreakable. But you are not made of iron, child. You are made of breath and bone, of blood and spirit, woven together by the hands of the Almighty, who knew you would one day reach this hour, this place, this moment where you have nothing left to give. And, oh, how sacred that moment is, because it is here, in the empty, silent spaces where your tears fall and your hope flickers like the last flame in a lamp, that God does his greatest work. He does not despise your exhaustion. He does not turn his face from your weakness. He leans in close, brushing the hair from your forehead, whispering into your soul, I am here. I am strong where you are weak. I am able where you are not. So hush the noise of your own doubts. Sit down the mask you have carried for far too long, the mask that says, I'm fine. I'm strong. I don't need anyone. God did not design you to carry burdens that grind your bones to dust. He designed you to come to him, broken and weary, and fall into his arms. There, in the holy hush of surrender, he lifts the weight from your shoulders, replaces your fear with peace, and stitches hope into the tattered edges of your spirit. Child, you have not failed because you have reached your limit. You have not disappointed heaven because you cannot go one more step. You have not lost your worth because you are tired. In fact, you are most precious in this moment, when all pretense falls away and your soul cries out in truth, God, I can't do this alone. See, the world loves strength, but God honors surrender. The world loves the sight of people standing tall, unbending, but God draws near to those who fall to their knees, trembling, admitting they can't go on without him. That is where he pours out grace. That is where he sends angels to minister to your weary spirit. That is where his power covers the cracks in your courage and the holes in your heart. Maybe you've spent a lifetime proving yourself, holding your head high even when your back ached under the strain. Maybe you've carried other people's burdens, held together other people's worlds, stood guard at the doors of hearts that were not your own. Maybe you've whispered prayers in the dark, fighting battles no one else saw. But hear me. Beloved, you were never meant to fight alone. You were never meant to be everyone's savior. You were never meant to shoulder it all while the weight grinds you into the ground. There is no shame in needing help. There is no failure in saying, I've done all I can do. In fact, it is the beginning of the greatest kind of freedom. A freedom born not of your own efforts, but of God's limitless strength. A freedom that whispers into your weary spirit, rest now. Beloved, let me fight for you. So don't you hide your tears. Don't you swallow your cries. Don't you hold your breath and pretend you aren't breaking. Lift those shaking hands to heaven, lift that trembling voice, and call on the one who never grows weary, whose power has no end, whose love never runs dry. He will come. He will gather you close. He will breathe new life into your tired soul. He does not tire of your need. He does not roll his eyes at your fears. He does not sigh in annoyance at your cries for help. No, he counts every tear, gathers them in his hands, and holds them as precious offerings, more valuable than gold. For in that place of emptiness, he plants seeds of new hope. In that place of weakness, He builds foundations of unshakable strength. In that place where you are convinced you have reached the end, he makes a new beginning. And oh, what a glorious beginning it will be. A life not driven by your own fragile strength, but held and guided the endless power of the Almighty. A journey not built on perfection, but on the perfect grace of the one who loves you more than life itself. So let go. Let the tears fall. Let your voice tremble. Let your knees buckle. And as you do, trust that the arms of God are already beneath you, ready to catch you, ready to hold you, ready to lift you up into light you thought you'd never see again. You do not need to have it all together. You only need to give your brokenness to the one who already knows, already sees, already loves you beyond measure. And when you have done that, when you have poured out your last breath of human strength, you will find something miraculous waiting on the other side, peace, like cool water in the desert. Joy, like morning light after a long, dark night, and love, oh, such love, that will remind you that you were never meant to carry this life alone. That, child, is the gift waiting for you when you reach your limit. And it is a gift worth everything. Child, there is a power that rises from the ashes of surrender, a holy strength that is born not in the boasting of our abilities, but in the humble confession of our limits. So often we believe we must stand tall, shoulders squared, chin lifted toward the sky, pretending we are invincible, immune to the heartaches of this weary world. We bury our doubts beneath hurried words, tuck away our fear behind wary smiles, and keep marching on though the weight of life presses us lower with every step. But there comes a time, oh yes, there comes a time when the soul can no longer hold the flood behind the dam. When the ache in the heart becomes too loud to ignore, when the weariness of carrying other people's worlds, other people's hopes, other people's demands becomes too much to bear. It is in this place of exhaustion, when your strength has run dry, that you discover the hidden truth. God never asked you to be the hero of your story. He only asked you to trust the author. So many walk through life convinced they must have all the answers, solve every problem, bear every burden. But, my darling, you are not Atlas. The sky was never yours to hold. The world was never yours to fix. You were crafted by divine hands to be held, not to hold the universe on your own weary shoulders. When you come to the edge of your ability, when the last thread snaps and your spirit trembles with uncertainty, do not despise that moment. Do not curse the cracked walls of your fortress, for it is through those cracks that the light of God pours in. It is through that trembling voice that heaven hears the truce cry. It is in the honesty of your weakness that God's strength is made perfect. Do you know what real strength looks like? It is not loud. It does not need applause. It does not need to convince others of its power. Real strength is often quiet, born in the solitude of the night, when no one else is watching, when tears fall into your pillow and your heart aches with longing for relief. Real strength is found in the whisper of a prayer, in the quiver of a voice that says, God, I cannot do this alone. I need you. That is the prayer of the brave. That is the prayer of the mighty. For it takes courage, true courage, to stop pretending, to let the walls fall, to stand unguarded before the throne of grace and lay bare the raw, tender places of your soul. The world may tell you it is weakness to ask for help, but heaven calls it holy. Heaven calls it surrender. Heaven calls it strength. You see, child, you are not meant to travel this road alone. You were not created to carry burdens that grind your bones into dust. You were fashioned by love for love, to lean on the everlasting arms that never tire, that never grow weary, that never fail. When you reach your limit, when your strength fades and your hands grow slack, that is not the end. It is the doorway into God's strength. So speak the prayer, even if your voice shakes. Let the tears fall, even if they leave trails upon your cheeks. Kneel in the silence, even if the world keeps demanding you stand tall. Because there, in the hush between breaths, in the soft H of surrender, God comes. He does not come with thunder to drown out your fear, nor with lightning to frighten away the dark. No, he comes gently like the dawn, like the tender breeze that lifts the heavy air, like the steady voice that whispers, I am with you. I have been with you. I will always be with you. He does not shame you for your need. He does not rebuke you for your weakness. Instead, he gathers the pieces of your tired soul, tenderly, reverently, as if they are the most precious treasures on earth. He takes your trembling hands and places his peace within them. He takes the burden from your shoulders and replaces it with his grace. He lifts your bowed head and shows you the horizon, painted with new hope, shimmering with a promise that you will rise again. Oh, beloved, do not fear the end of your strength. Do not dread the moment you can no longer pretend. For that is where miracles are born, where chains fall away, where the old ways crumble and the new path is revealed. God does not despise your limit. He waits for it. For it is only when you come to the end of yourself that you truly come to him. And he will not fail you. He will not turn away. He will not say, come back when you are strong. He will say, rest here, child. Rest here in my arms. Let me be your strength now. Let me be your shield. Let me be the song that fills the empty places of your soul. So breathe. Let the weight fall away. Let your heart beat again, slow and steady in the rhythm of grace. You are not weak, you are wise. You are not failing. You are falling into the arms of the one who cannot fail. You are not alone. You are held fiercely forever by a love that does not break, that does not grow tired, that does not leave when the darkness falls. That, my precious one, is the strength that rises from surrender. That is the prayer that opens the heavens. That is the gift waiting for you when you come, humble and hurting, to the foot of the cross and say, Lord, I need you now. And you will find, as countless souls have found before you, that God is more than enough. Always, always more than enough. Child, there are moments in this journey when the walls seem to close in, when every road ahead feels blocked, when every prayer you whisper seems to echo back with silence as your only answer. Those are the moments when doubt creeps in like a slow, cold fog and wraps itself around your heart. And in those moments, when your soul trembles on the edge of despair, I want you to remember something that the world too often forgets. God is not far away. He is not a distant deity sitting upon some untouchable throne. He is right here, closer than your next breath, whispering your name with tenderness, calling you beloved even as you break. See, when you have reached your limit, when you have no strength left to fight, that is not the time to pretend you are invincible. That is the time to lay down your sword, to unclench your fists, to allow the Almighty to take the battle out of your weary hands. Oh, I know how hard it is. I know the world has taught you that to let go is to fail, that to stop striving is to quit, that to admit you are tired is to be weak. But child, that is a lie dressed up in pride, and it will wear your soul to dust if you let it. Instead, I want you to lean into the power of surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving over to the one whose hands shaped the mountains, whose breath stirred the oceans, whose love carved your name into the palm of his eternal hands. When you reach the end of yourself, you stand at the beginning of his miracles. You stand at the threshold of a door that only God can open, one that leads to peace beyond understanding, hope that rises even from ashes, and strength that does not depend on your own abilities, but on his unending grace. So sit down, child. Lay the weight of the world at his feet. You have carried it long enough. The burden of expectation, of proving yourself, of trying to be everything to everyone. It was never yours to hold. God did not create you to be a machine that never falters, a fortress that never cracks, a light that never flickers. He created you to be human, tender and flawed, and so beautiful in your vulnerability that the heavens pause to marvel when you choose to trust Him in your weakness. Let your tears fall. They are holy. They water the seeds of new beginnings, hidden deep beneath the surface of your pain. Let your voice break when you pray. It is not the eloquence of your words that moves God's heart, but the raw honesty of your need. Let your hands tremble as you lift them, palms open to the sky. That is the posture of the brave, the ones who know they cannot do this alone. And so they place themselves in the hands of the one who has never failed and never will. Because, child, you do not have to have it all together. You do not have to be the strong one every hour of every day. You do not have to keep patching up the cracks in your soul with borrowed strength that runs out by morning. You can let the cracks show. You can be broken. For in your brokenness, God builds something new. In your emptiness, He fills you with grace. In your silence, He sings over you with songs of deliverance. I know you've been taught that God helps those who help themselves, but let me tell you a deeper truth. God helps those who cannot help themselves. God helps those who fall on their faces and cry out, Lord, I can't do this alone. God rushes to the side of the weary mother with nothing left to give, the father who feels the walls closing in, the broken-hearted one who can't see a way out of the darkness. He meets them there, not with judgment, but with mercy, not with rebuke, but with love so fierce, so gentle, that it gathers the shattered pieces and holds them safe until they can beat again with hope. So if you've reached your limit, do not despair. Do not curse the emptiness in your soul. Do not fear the cracking of your armor. That is where the light gets in. That is where God writes a new chapter, one you could never have penned on your own. That is where your story becomes more than survival. It becomes redemption. It becomes resurrection. It becomes testimony. There will come a day when you look back on this season, when you remember the sleepless nights and the quiet sobs, and the moments you thought your heart might not hold another breath. And you will see how God carried you, how His grace held you up when your knees gave way, how His love sustained you when your own strength had long since fled. And you will tell the story, child. You will stand and speak life into the hearts of others who have reached their limit. You will be the voice that says, I know what it is to feel broken, but I also know the God who made me whole again. And oh, what a story it will be. A story not of your own power, but of a power greater than any darkness. A story not of how you conquered every mountain, but of how God leveled the ground beneath your feet. A story of grace, endless and overflowing, of mercy that found you in the ashes and lifted you into light. So rest now, beloved. Lay your burdens down. God is not waiting for you to prove your worth. He already called you worthy when He breathed life into your lungs. He already called you loved before you ever spoke His name. And He will carry you now, as He always has, as He always will, because you have reached your limit, but His grace has no end. Child, there is a hush that falls over the heart in the moments when you have done all you can, when you have prayed every prayer, cried every tear, and whispered every hope into the darkness, and still the mountain before you does not move. It is there, standing tall and unyielding, as though daring you to believe that anything will ever change. And in that silence, you begin to wonder if God has turned His face, if the heavens have gone deaf to your plea. You question your worth, your strength, even your faith. But hear me now, dear one. The silence is not abandonment. The mountain that does not move is not proof that God has forsaken you. It is an invitation. An invitation to come closer, to lean in, to place your ear upon the heartbeat of heaven and listen to the quiet song that has never stopped playing over you. Sometimes the greatest miracles are not in the instant shifting of the ground beneath our feet, but in the patient waiting, the holy pause, the space where you discover that your God is not just the God of sudden deliverance, but also the God of steadfast presence. He is with you in the waiting. He is with you in the unchanging. He is with you in the hush. Oh, child, I know how heavy the waiting can be. I know how the hours stretch into days, the days into weeks, the weeks into months of unanswered questions and unseen breakthroughs. I know how hope feels like a fragile thread, frayed and thin, ready to snap with the next gust of disappointment. But let me remind you of this truth. It is not your hold on hope that sustains you, but God's hold on you. He does not grow weary of your endless prayers, your tear-soaked whispers in the middle of the night. He does not tire of your trembling voice repeating the same request again and again. In fact, every plea, every sigh, every unspoken longing is gathered by his hands and carried close to his heart, as precious to him as breath itself. You see, God is not in a hurry. His ways are not our ways, and his timing is not our timing. Where we see delay, he sees preparation. Where we see a barren field, he sees seeds pushing down roots beneath the soil. Where we see silence, he is weaving a tapestry of grace so intricate, so beautiful, that it will one day leave us breathless with awe. So when you have reached your limit, when you have no words left to pray, do not mistake that emptiness for defeat. Let it be the doorway through which you walk into the holy hush of trust. Breathe deeply. Rest your weary spirit. Lift your eyes to the hills, not to demand a miracle on your schedule, but to remind your soul that your help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, who neither slumbers nor sleeps. I have learned, in the long dark nights of my own journey, that God's greatest gifts often come wrapped in silence, that the greatest lessons are learned when I stop shouting for answers and simply listen for his still, small voice, that there is power in waiting, a sacred kind of strength that grows only in the unseen places of the soul. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not unloved. The one who crafted the stars also crafted you, and he will not let you slip through his hands now. So if the mountain remains unmoved, perhaps it is because he is building something unshakable in you first. Perhaps he is teaching you that peace does not come from circumstances shifting, but from knowing deep in your bones that you are held by a love that will never let you go. So rest in the waiting. Let the silence be your sanctuary. Let the unanswered prayers become a hymn of faith rising from your heart. Trust that God is not done yet, that the story is still unfolding, that the chapter you are in now is not the end. There will come a day when you will stand upon the mountain that once loomed so large, and you will look back over the valley where you once wept and wondered and waited, and you will see the fingerprints of God in every shadow. You will see how he carried you when you could not walk, how he breathed courage into your weary lungs, how he turned every tear into a river of grace that led you to this place of victory. And you will sing, child. You will sing with a voice strong and sure, a voice that has been refined in the fires of waiting, a voice that knows what it is to be held by God when the world had nothing to offer. And your song will become a lighthouse for others, a beacon that shines into their darkness and says, "Hold on, keep hoping. God is faithful. He has not forgotten you." So though the waiting may feel endless, though the silence may feel suffocating, remember this: you are not alone. Heaven leans in close when you whisper your weary prayers. Angels stand guard at your door, and the one who loves you beyond measure is working even now, in ways you cannot see, to bring forth a blessing greater than you can imagine. So rest your heart, child. Let go of your striving. Breathe in the quiet. Trust that God is nearer than the next beat of your heart. And know with a certainty that no darkness can steal, that you are seen, you are loved, and you are held, even here, even now. Especially now. Child, there is a place in the soul that is carved by struggle, a hollow that is worn smooth by the waters of sorrow, and the wind of waiting. It is there, in that hidden place, where God plants the seeds of his deepest miracles. The world tells you that when you are emptied out, when you have nothing left, you are at your weakest. That the void inside you is something to fear, something to hide. But I have learned, through nights that stretched long and mornings that came slow, that the empty place inside you is holy ground. It is the space where God breathes new life. Do not despise your emptiness, beloved. Do not rush to fill it with noise, with frantic activity, with the constant hum of distraction. Let it be quiet. Let it be still. Let it echo, for the echo is where you begin to hear the soft whisper of the divine, calling you to come, sit, rest. I know this world will tell you to keep moving, to push past the pain, to pretend you are fine. But the truth, sweet child, is that strength is not in the running. Strength is in the stopping, in the choosing to sit in the quiet and say, "Here I am, Lord. I have nothing left to give. Fill me." There is power in that surrender. There is power in allowing yourself to be emptied of your own striving, your own wisdom, your own plans. For when you are empty, you are ready to be filled with something greater than yourself. You are ready to be poured into by the one whose love is endless, whose power has no measure, whose grace never runs dry. I have walked through the desert of emptiness, and I have learned that it is not the end, but the beginning. It is not the grave, but the garden. It is not the death knell, but the birth cry of something new and beautiful rising from the ashes. So, child, do not fear the emptiness. Do not rush past the ache. Sit with it. Let it speak to you of the things you've carried too long, the burdens you've picked up that were never yours to bear. Let it reveal to you the places where you've tried to be your own savior, your own healer, your own provider. Let it show you that you were never meant to do this alone. And then, in that stillness, lift your hands. Lift your voice, even if it is a whisper. Pray the prayer of the weary. Lord, I am empty. Fill me. I am weak. Strengthen me. I am afraid. Hold me. You do not need fancy words. You do not need to make a show of your faith. God sees the heart. He knows the trembling. He feels the fear. And he is not disappointed in you. He is not shaking his head at your need. No, beloved, he is rushing toward you, arms wide, ready to pour into you the kind of strength that never fails, the kind of hope that rises unbidden like the dawn, the kind of peace that wraps around your heart like a soft blanket on a cold night. The world honors the ones who seem to have it all together, the ones who speak loud and shine bright and never let their weakness show. But heaven leans close to the broken-hearted. Heaven draws near to the trembling ones, the ones whose knees buckle under the weight of life, the ones whose prayers are more tears than words. Because God is not impressed by our show of strength. He is moved by our honest need. He is moved by the hand that reaches up from the pit and says, "Lord, help me." That hand, child, is never left grasping at the air. That hand is always met by his, firm and sure, pulling you out of the darkness, holding you close to his chest where you can hear his heartbeat, steady and strong. Do not think you must be unbreakable to be loved by God. Do not believe the lie that you must earn his favor by being perfect, by being strong, by being more than you are. You are already loved. You are already chosen. You are already seen. Even in your emptiness, even in your breaking. So come as you are. Bring the ashes of your strength, the crumbs of your courage, the fading embers of your hope. Lay them at his feet. He is the God who makes beauty from ashes, who breathes life into dry bones, who turns mourning into dancing. Let him do it for you, child. Let him take the hollow places in your soul and fill them with his light. Let him show you that the end of yourself is the beginning of something new, something holy, something so wondrous that you will look back one day and say, "It was good for me to have been emptied, so that he could fill me with himself." Rest in that truth. Hold it close when the night grows long and your spirit grows weary. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are being held, shaped, filled. And when the dawn breaks, and it will, child, it always does, you will rise stronger, braver, softer, and more radiant than you ever dreamed possible. This is the promise of the one who loves you with an everlasting love. This is the truth that anchors the soul in the wildest storm. This is the hope that does not disappoint. So breathe, beloved. Breathe and be still. The God who made you is not done yet. Your story is not over. The emptiness is not the end. It is the sacred